then I need to.
Okay.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me now? Welcome to Felida Community Neighborhood Association. So today's meeting, we have some guest speakers and we have part of the neighborhood committee for traffic and road safety. That also has some things that we need to address. My name is John Stubbs. I'm the president. We have Karina here as well, Karina Stubbs. And we also have Doug. Both are co-vice presidents. And then Patty is going to be, or is, the subcommittee chair for road and traffic safety. And then at the very end of the meeting, if there's anything new business that you'd like to bring up, any concerns, wants, wishes, please do so at that time. So the first person that's going to speak, I believe, is going to be Patty.
Yes, that'd be
All
fine.
right.
I'll speak whenever you want me to. What I'm going to do, my name is Patty Sexton, and sorry, can you hear me better now? Okay. My name is Patty Sexton, and I've been for all of, I think, 3 months, heading up the subcommittee on traffic and road safety for our neighborhood association. And I want to say thank you to Lisa for being on the subcommittee and helping me. The other person is Brandon, and unfortunately he was called out of town and could not, he was planning to come, but he was not able to come tonight. So he sends his regrets. So we, as a subcommittee, created a survey to find out what you are most concerned about regarding traffic and road safety. And so, Lisa, would you be willing to go over the survey? We have a blank form for the survey, so can we put that up? Not this one, but the other.
Curious, did any of you complete the survey? Raise your hand high if you did. Thank you. We distributed the survey for the first time at the last community meeting, a neighborhood association meeting. Some of you completed it here. We also sent it out through the Next Door website, and we sent it out one other way. I think the email distribution list. So the good news is, as of today, we have 117 total responses, which I think is really good, especially for using 3 different venues to gather information. Patty worked really hard to try to create a couple of heat maps. So she'll show you those in a little bit, but we were really interested in, just tell us, what are your 2 highest priorities related to traffic or pedestrians or biking? And so those were the 3 areas we thought would be most helpful to know. And there was also kind of an open-ended section that said, what else should we know as we're considering this? So once we got the responses, we were able to pinpoint them. We divided up the responses, and I think my frustration was all the anecdotal information. I wanted to capture everything everybody said and say, I feel you, you know, going down into the dip. The first time I heard the dip on 119. And I knew that was an issue for biking and pedestrians, but I think all the concern and how people expressed that. So we wanted to depict what it looked like, to make it really simple for anybody to see. These are the hot spots, but also capture that information as well, so that we could pass that on to public works.
Thank you. So now let's take a look at the actual report that was derived from aggregating all of the 100. Well, this report only has the first 115 responses because the last 2 came in after the report was created. So the last 2 will go into the next update of the report. So I don't know if you're able to make it a little bit larger. But, you know, basically You can then open up the screen a bit. Great. So the first thing that I want to point out is that this is not a perfect survey. It's subject to a lot of interpretation, and we try to interpret the information that was given to us the best way possible. If we go on down to page number 2, the first heat map, I wanted to show you that this is each little blue point that you see on this map represents a mention of a road, a concern for road safety. And this is for traffic only. I have 3 maps, one with the blue pinpoints for traffic, one with green pinpoints for pedestrian concerns, and the third with purple color for biking and cyclists. Okay. So you can see that this just, jumps out, and not surprisingly, that the heavily trafficked roads in our community got the most votes for safety problems.
So before you go any faster far, the one that's going horizontal, that's 119th.
That's
right
correct.
there.
That's 190.
And then going vertical up here, is that 31st? Is that
That the one that starts at the very top and comes down is 36th
36th.
Avenue and down, and it joins with Lakeshore at 119th Avenue. So it's at the very top, it's where you can just see the blue creek
yes?
at the very top. Okay, so at the top is where the bridge is over Salmon Creek. Okay, so 36th Avenue on 119th Streets. Huge. And I was hoping to actually show this map in live because then we could zoom in and actually see which intersections cause the most concern. But if we scroll down, I did summarize where the concerns were further down. So let's just look at this pedestrian heat map, and you'll see that even more clearly the 36th Avenue and some of Lakeshore and 119th. We also see 2 from 119th going down, 2 sets of dots of green pinpoints. So the first one is 21st Avenue. A lot of responses mentioning 21st Avenue. And then the other one is 16th Avenue that goes down and
Into the
becomes
Songbird
11th.
neighborhood.
Right,
To
and goes down to 99. Okay, so those were really clear. We did have, a few other mentions all over the place. So the thing that I want to explain about what's lacking in this map is that I was only able to really send the information out to the Felida residents that's, first of all, 1, signed up for Nextdoor, 2, that consider themselves Felida residents when Nextdoor, their boundary for Felida is actually 21st Avenue. So people that are living on the east side of 21st Avenue may not even think of themselves as Felida residents. So they may not say, well, that's not a survey for me. But we are hoping to be able to reach out to them in a much better, more accurate format next in January.
Hopefully we're shooting for Jan. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so, and this one is bicycle or cycling concerns, and so you see, similar pattern, just fewer dots because, of course, fewer people cycle, but still quite a few you can see concerns on that. So let's go down to the next page where we have the details. Okay, so here's the prioritized locations we've talked about, 119th, 85 people, or it was 85 times 119th street was mentioned. And 36th Avenue and Lakeshore, they got,
46.
46, so yes. And then the third, most mentioned was 21st Avenue with 27 mentions. So within 119th, there are traffic concerns and 63 mentions of those really talked about speeding the entire length of, some cars going over the posted speed limit has been observed the entire length of 119, as well as the specific intersections that are really of concern. And those are the feeders into 119. So at 21st Avenue in particular, when I was putting these little pinpoints there, I mean, I couldn't find space. I couldn't find enough space to put all of the concerns about that intersection. And then I call it the dip and hill of right by Cougar Creek, Cougar Canyon Creek Trail is the correct name for that. But it's so steep going down that people gain speed, and by the time they get to the bottom, they're going really fast. And it's narrow, really narrow. Then add that when you have parking on both sides of the street and people getting out of their cars, crossing the street to get onto the trail. So huge issue there. And then in front of this school and next door, Felida Elementary, a lot of traffic issues in front of them. So we highlighted those, and then of course pedestrian crossings. So I actually had to drive along 119th and count how many pedestrian crossings were marked. And surprise, surprise, once you pass once you pass 26th Avenue, there are no marked pedestrian crossings until you get to Hazelville Avenue. And that's like a mile or more. So I'm like going, people have to cross the street. And so they basically have to, scoot across really quickly and really watch carefully, particularly in front of the country store, because a lot of people go there. So yeah, that's a big issue. We even had one respondent say that her son got hit. He was on a bicycle and he got hit in front of the country store. Cross. Okay, then 36th Avenue and Lakeshore, the really numerous concerns there was again going down the hill from McCann down to the creek trailhead. And again, cars just naturally pick up speed and people are not slowing down to maintain the speed zone. So there's also missing sidewalks. We are missing sidewalks by the Cougar Canyon Creek, and we're missing sidewalks going down to the Salmon Creek trailhead too. And these are places we want people to go to in order to enjoy the wonderful environment and parks that we have. So we are preventing them. There's a great response by one person. She said that she walked with her kids on their bikes down to Salmon Creek trailhead, and she said she'll never do that again because it was too frightening for her. So it's like, we really want to improve that. Okay, so and then 21st Avenue right there, 21st and 119th, as well as a lot of speeding from 21st, from 119th all the way down to 99 Avenue. 99th Street. So we have all this great data. I did put in 3 other locations of note. That is the Northwest 11th Avenue to from 99th Street, which then becomes 16th Avenue, going up to, 119th Street. There is an intersection just south of 119th Street. I believe it's at 118th and 16th Avenue, which is right by a new housing development. And so a stop sign to make a three-way stop was put in, I think about 2 years ago. And people that live in that area or are by that intersection often say that they observe almost every car not stopping at that stop sign. They just blow right through it. So that intersection is a big problem. And someone even said that, that there is a school bus stop right there, and traffic are still going really fast. And then we also noted there were several concerns on Northwest 31st Avenue, both right at this corner, where 31st and 119th, because there's some vegetation that probably 80% of the time is overgrown and obstructs the vision. Yeah, every once in a while it'll get cut back, and it's like, oh, this is really good for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we know how fast vegetation can grow around here. So I know that when I pull up to that intersection, I have to almost put the nose of my car into the lane of 119th before I can clearly see whether I can take a right-hand turn, safely turn right or left. Okay, then also at the north end of 31st, there seems to be some parking issues where people are parking on two sides of the road, and that narrows the road down to just one lane, and that's causing a problem. And then 127th Street from 36th Avenue westward seems to be a big speeding problem also. And that is the road that goes just on the north side of Felida Park. So a lot of people walking and kids biking are on that road. We seem to encounter a lot of speeders. Anyway, at the bottom, the last like 2 or 3 pages of the report is sort of like just extracted comments from people that, just sort of put their heart into their responses they put into the survey. And so when you sort of read through that, it's just to give you an idea of how much detail, and it was thoroughly thought through, some of these responses, and people are really concerned. And a lot of them, it's, concern of like, yeah, kids walking to school should be able to walk safely. They should have a safe sidewalk, a designated sidewalk, and designated crosswalks in order to get to school and back home safely. And so, this is just highlighting this. So I'm hoping that this is a good compilation that we have of the responses so far. I think that in January, when we get some additional responses, we'll start seeing some concern over on the eastern side to include Hazelwood, because the Felida Neighborhood Association, the eastern edge is not until Interstate 5. So it encompasses a lot more than what people typically think of as Felida. And so hopefully we'll get people in that area giving us feedback. So any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know if the group was aware that there is a bike and pedestrian committee, and I wondered if you would like to have a meeting with them.
That would be great. That would be great. I did note that, I noticed that there was a meeting of that group about a month ago or so. And I was desperately trying to get all of the data put together for that. And I realized, oh, there's just no way that I could, have this level of information ready for that. And I was out of town also.
Hmm.
So, but yeah,
Yes, and there's a dedicated planner that's assigned to that, so we can just schedule a time. Yeah, go ahead and wait until you've got your data ready, and then we'll just schedule a meeting just directly with him. And we can do that. Harrison's a great guy.
He's actually maternity leave till the end of January.
Okay, so then that gives you some time to compile your information. Yeah, and he's really responsive. He's a great guy.
Like on and say who she suggested having.
Yeah, we.
We announced the name.
What you said,
Oh.
suggested coming to meet with us.
oh, yes, sorry,
It's Harrison. I don't remember his last name.
I don't know.
the bike and pedestrian,
The bike and pedestrian, there's a bike and pedestrian committee with the
Oh.
county.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to know.
And
And then I have a couple questions.
It's BPAC for short,
Okay.
Bike and pedestrian something committee, bike and
advisory committee.
advisory committee.
it'll probably be, the board will probably meet with them, and then we can definitely bring that person in, once we've met with them personally to, yeah, go ahead.
yes, your
Will we get a
question.
copy of that?
Yes, absolutely. Once it's kind of finalized, the report with the rest of the data, we'll go ahead and send it out to the email list.
And the other thing is I don't know what they call them, but I've noticed them around a lot of the streets. I've noticed them all along 119th, if that's the main road. Those things that go across and it counts cars or whatever.
Yes,
What do those actually do?
that's Steve. He can address that.
And my thought was, oh, something's happening.
That's why we brought Steve in.
Those,
Thank you, Patty.
For a long time.
That was an amazing amount of work. I've done surveys, and I don't know who all worked on that. And I don't, you did, and you did, was it just you two?
Granted, the three,
That is a lot of work to compile that amount of information. That is fantastic.
just so
thank you.
everyone knows, this is not happen without Patty stepping up to help our community and make this happen so that we can make some really good change for safety in our community.
Yeah, I hope I can get a copy of it too.
Absolutely.
That was really nice. First of all, my name is Steve Gallup. I'm working public works, Clark County Public Works. I'm the county traffic engineer, transportation division manager. In our division within Public Works is the transportation, which we have a team, a traffic engineering team that consists of, about a dozen people, and their pretty much full-time job is to handle issues or complaints or traffic related problems that may come up, similar to what you guys just bring it up in the report. And so and that was one of the things I wanted to talk about is right now, the kind of the program that we have as far as is trying to get a hold of somebody if you see something that's happening out there, traffic issues, speeding, reckless driving, congestion, whatever it may be. Right now you have, you've maybe done it. You go to the Public Works website that we have a web page that there's actually really nice, quick, I think they call it a quick link. There's actually a button up there that you can press to report a problem, and then it goes into our system that we have. So to be honest with you, that great, and you probably know that it's not that great of a system. It does whoops, focus like on an area or a neighborhood like Felida. It doesn't really focus on these types of neighborhoods. So I'm
I'm gonna put it up on the screen, so you're talking about this report of concern?
Yes. Go down, ask for information and the problem and stuff, and then it gets sent to, once you it goes to the traffic engineering team I was telling you about, and then they prioritize it and all the the requests that they get and things. So,
And these are the type of things to report: pothole, sidewalk, curb, gravel road, snow and ice, drainage open, non-domestic dead animal on the road, bridge maintenance,
traffic control,
traffic control.
that's it, speeding issues,
Things are.
you get traffic control. I didn't,
Get to my question, are you? getting
yeah,
to that?
let's get to your question, I forgot about that, sorry.
What those things were, I mean, there were several, I mean, once I turned off Highway 99 and go by, Fine Line and all of that, I started noticing there were several of those all the way up, and I even noticed some up in, up by Alki and so forth, with strips.
Yeah,
And I don't know what those are for. I don't know if they count cars, if there's people who are speeding, or you're trying to find how many cars are traveling on this highway.
yeah, those are our volume counters, so we have, and you'll probably see, you see the tubes going across the road, and at the end of the tubes, there's a little box. And so what that is, that's actually counting the number of vehicles. It does classification, so not only, cars, trucks, and the bigger rates of stuff, we can keep track of those. So we have a traffic counting program that we do every year. We actually hire a company that goes out and puts all those up for us. And we gather data every year, not on all our roads. We kind of cycle around the county and stuff, but we get most of the roads every year. In addition to traffic volumes, they also give us speed information. And so we can get the speeds and see how fast people are driving and stuff compared to the speed limit of that road. So that's what those are.
Okay, that was great, because the other thing I noticed, I was hoping to see one on 119, especially by the school, to tell people how fast they're going. Is I noticed that box, I remember you mentioned last time, somebody, maybe it's the sheriff, somebody said, oh, we've only got like one of them. And I don't know. if
There are
that's-
actually 4, 1 is being repaired,
Okay,
3 are actually in use for the whole entire county. So I'm talking Yakult and everything, and so they're just shifting them around wherever they can, wherever the next problem is to the other, so we just don't have.
Okay, now I hope we're gonna do that over to 119, because that's where we.
You're talking about the signs that tell you how fast you're going.
Yes.
And they
that
blink and stuff.
Thing, that big white.
If you're going too fast, they'll blink at you.
Yeah,
Slow down.
right, yeah.
So those are speed feedback signs, and we have about 4 or 5 of those that we can actually mount on posts. But now we have 4 that are on trailers. We have, they're kind of smaller, but they're on trailers that we can move around the county too. And then by the end of this year, we're hoping to get actually 4 more. So we'll actually have 8 that are on trailers that we're going to move around the county and stuff. And we have found them to be more effective if we do move them. I mean, if we can leave them in a place for a few weeks and then we move them somewhere else, people kind of get the hang of it and know what's happening and stuff.
Well, I was hoping one would come over at 119, especially right by 21st, because it's amazing how many people, when they pass the country store and they're coming west, when they get to 21st, they rev their engine and they fly past the schools, which is amazing. I don't know why they're speeding up coming up to schools. We really need it. Of course, I'd like a permanent one stuck in it too, so.
Yeah. So one of the other things I wanted to mention is that in this program will really help more kind of focus on neighborhoods. Is at the beginning of next year, we're going to go to county council and get their approval to have to start a neighborhood traffic management program. So what that will allow us to do is actually hire 2 more full-time employees, as well as have a budget to be able to start implementing like speed bumps, raised crosswalks, more marked crosswalks, as mentioned that. And so it's going to help us to be able to do some of those type of traffic calming strategies. And the reason why we're trying to establish this program, because this will help us to kind of establish more of a systematic program. We'll be able to have, a better outreach program with neighborhoods and stuff, and be able to just right now be able to install speed bumps. Right now, we don't have that ability to do that. All we have is the speed feedback signs is basically our only traffic calming tool that's available to us. So this program's going to be really good. Like I said, it's going to hopefully help us to hire 2 full-time employees to help manage that program and stuff. And so I'm really excited about it. And we, like I said, we kind of talked to council about it a little bit, but in January, actually, when Harrison gets back in February, he's not getting back until end of January, but in February, we're going to start meeting with council and get their approval to start this program. So, yes.
Wasn't your department that, because I know over by soccer school there on Hazeldale, after you turn right off of 119 to come up the hill, there is one of those signs that flashes your speed for 25 miles per hour. It's been there for a while, I don't know, 2-3 years or so. I was wondering if it was your department that put that in.
I think it was a project. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it was like a Safe Routes to School project.
And they put those special crosswalks in, where they have kind of cement, and so forth for people to cross.
Like the pedestrian median island,
Yeah.
the flashing lights.
It's so critical.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. They used to have one on 36 over here, and they took it out because they used to ride my bike like you, and they took that out because they wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
360,
Just off of 119. It was by the park.
Hmm.
And there was, actually it was a little north of 119. But it's where the new development is, the senior housing is going there. There actually was a cement area where you would walk across, but there was a cement area in the middle of the street. You could stand and then go across. That was dismantled.
Huh.
And it's not there anymore. I thought that was weird.
Yeah. Usually we don't take those out.
Yeah.
Once we install them.
Yeah.
As far as budgeting, do they go by fiscal year, like the calendar year, or is there some other type of budgeting process
We do it per calendar year.
for calendar year? And so this is already towards the end of November. Is the funds depleted, and when is it going to be restocked?
This program here, we're going to be going to council next year on it and get their approval.
When in next year?
Hopefully around the first of next year.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do is then, once you get the approval, then we're gonna submit it in the budget for 2026. And so we'll have, 2026, we can start implementing.
So the budget for
20
2025
It's already
is
done.
already done. Those funds, will they be available at the start of the calendar year? And how are they allocated as far as entire Clark County? Is it the squeaky wheel gets most of the money, and how does that all work?
Right now, the complaints and stuff I was telling you about, this traffic engineering team, it's all out. It's really not based on money or anything like that. Right now, it's all kind of when you, like, first come, first served type thing. So it's all prioritized out
To be squeaky, people.
there. Yeah. That
And
too.
yours in this forms, your concerns that were submitted. That is very evident that 119th right there and then 36 are high priority targets. Not that we're dismissing all the other areas. It's just that it's not an infinite budget. So with what monies we have, where's the highest concerns? See if we can get something in there.
Well, and if we can start with one place, that means we can probably move on to other places too.
And you had a question?
Yeah, I spent 8 years on the Citizens Advisory Committee for another city. on traffic safety. And we didn't buy into the Vision Zero program, because sometimes that doesn't necessarily work. What we found was that there's federal standards on warrants, where you place something. If you place a stop sign where the warrants don't support it, cars won't stop for it. And it's more dangerous because some people expect folks will stop for something. Clean is magic.
Yeah.
And you gotta watch where you put these crosswalks, because if people think it's magic, they don't stop. One thing about the speed trailers that we did is there was a setting on those we bought that if they're like 15 over the speed limit, they'll take a picture. And we mail that picture to the home saying, we saw your car driving this speed over this thing, essentially a method trying to shame people. And so,
If I remember correctly, the sheriff said that the reason that our trailers do not have the cameras is because of a law.
There's a law preventing it.
you can't issue a citation, but we could just send we could shame them. We couldn't get a ticket.
Yes,
I'm muffled down for his voice, but we have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah.
I think you have a microphone over here.
Okay. I would say I spent 8 years on the Citizens Advisory, Traffic Safety Advisory Committee for another city. And what we found was you have to have certain amount of warrants to have a stop sign. If you don't have the warrants, people won't stop at the stop sign, and some people will stop for it, and then it tends to cause more chaos. And I was mentioning one on our speed trailers that we purchased. So if we were going, if the cars were 15 over the speed limit, they'd actually take a picture, and we'd send that picture home like a way to shame somebody. Like, speed limit is 40, you're going 55. Please slow down. Was it a citation? We didn't have the ability to send a citation out. And the other thing we did find is like on the speed limiters, the speed signs that say how fast you're going. You have to be careful around high schools because the teenagers will see how big a number they can get. So we put.
I lived right by Columbia River High School,
Yeah,
and when we
yeah.
did have those put in after
Yeah.
a big accident right on 11th Avenue last
Yeah.
year, they put them in there, and then all night long, it's like
How fast can you go? How big a number can
It's
you
a
get?
racetrack
It's bragging rights, yeah.
9:00 PM, it's over.
Yeah, we essentially limit them to a certain amount over, and then they would just flash.
And my parents would have been really mad if they got a letter
Yeah.
of me
Yeah.
doing that when I was. in high
Oh,
school.
yeah, wouldn't they? You know?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Is your insurance high enough right now? Yes.
My
it is.
car, yeah.
It's just some of the things that we learned, you know.
Great.
And
You got an expert here.
and we also, the city actually would apply for like federal grants to do traffic calming.
And what city was this?
Gresham.
Oh, wow, okay.
Gresham.
Yes.
Yes.
Is striping to narrow a wide street? How does that work? Because McCann, right up here, has two very sharp S curves.
Right.
They've been striped white to narrow
Mhm.
the view. 131st is where I live in, and we have the speeders. So how effective and costly is striping?
Some will, some won't, some will just ignore it. It's like you see on Sandy where they have to put the chicanes in. A lot of times they have people just go straight down the street.
How expensive is it to stripe a street?
It's definitely one of the cheaper counting measures that you can do.
And we do that, right?
Striping and signage.
Yeah.
131st.
Go out there and paint it yourself one day, huh? No, don't do that. Seriously.
It's really dangerous for us to even try to back out of our driveway. I mean, come on, and we have Brad Crawford Park, which is little children,
Mhm.
and there is a crosswalk. It has, it's raised, it's got the white across it, and it has the yellow things that stand up, they're
Mhm.
bendable.
Okay.
I think there's.
Little
one
bollard things, yeah.
that's five.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they're coming down that curve, it's like a big thrill, you know, go around.
Yeah.
I've asked for a sign to be put up. And they said I could put my own sign up. Well, it was removed 1, 2, 3, 4 times by somebody that got offended. actually throwing it back into my backyard, like, yeah, so I'm advocating and asking for some white striping to narrow the vision of a wide street. We
No,
have children.
add to that, actually, I live on 11th Avenue, which is called Roller Coaster Road since 1972. The two biggest hills in all of Felida are where I pull out with my two little girls, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. Okay, I have to roll down my windows and listen before I pull out. Even then, if it's a Tesla or another electronic car, I'm sorry, EV, I can't hear it. So it's gunning it out of my driveway, and then still someone's on my rear end. It's a 15-mile-per-hour zone. People are going 70, 1 out of 10. And I actually have footage of all this because I've had my wife drive 15 miles per hour down it, filmed her, and then filmed it for an hour. And 90% are going far above 15 miles per hour. And so I'm worried about my children and my wife and even myself a little bit, you know? No, I'm sorry, 11th, that's 16th, where it's the same curvy area, but right where Columbia River High School comes off of 99th Street. You take a right onto 11th Avenue if you're heading west. Those hills, I live in between those hills. It's insane, and it's everybody. It's, you know, and even my neighbors are like, oh yeah, these people drive way too fast. Then I see them pull out of their driveway like that. It's everybody, you know? And there's been so many close calls. I've been chased to grocery outlet because I pulled out of my driveway. And I had someone pull into my driveway last week and just lay on their horn because when I was trying to take a left into my driveway, they were mad that I stopped for the cars coming the other way. I have to. I can't just plow into them in my driveway, but they're mad because they have to stop behind me fast because they were going 70. I'm going 15, you know, the speed limit. And I'm trying to go in there. I had someone lay on their horn while I'm trying to bring my 2 little girls inside the house. And I didn't have quite enough time to get my camera out before and so I have to block half my driveway so people can't just pull into there and do horrible stuff to me because I'm driving like a human being. So I'm just saying, this is all of, and it's a huge problem, but I do see that most of the concerns are gonna lie where most people live, 119, 31st and stuff like that. There aren't that many people who live on 11th Avenue, but
And one of the things
it's
that's,
just gonna be too late at some point. Someone's gonna die, you know?
one of the
That's just
things
way
that
it
the
is.
sheriff pointed out last time is that you kind of have to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
When we start asking the sheriff's department to issue or to patrol the area, issue citations or whatever else, the people that are going to get the citations are your neighbors.
Yeah.
We are our own problem. Now, we're speaking to the choir here, but we live in an area that is not, for the most part, a through street. You know, people coming off from the exit off from I-5, the 5th, they are coming into Fly. They are our friends and neighbors that live here. And if it's not them, it's their children, you know, or the friends that are visiting them that don't respect, you know, the wishes of the community as a whole. And so what you've done as far as voice your concerns and have Patty here tabulate them and present them. And even the last meeting where the sheriff's department showed that they are actually doing something. We might not see it. We might be at work or having dinner at the time, but these people are covering our area thoroughly because they showed that just this year alone, they've given over 5,500 citations just within the boundaries of Felida. So we are getting our money's worth. But the whole goal was to use those reports, find out what that is, 119th, 36, and how does that correspond with the citations? Are the citations being given in those same areas? And if they're not, we could ask the sheriff's department, can you please adjust your patrols to these areas of concern? Now, if they do match up, then we can work together. We have a package deal. Our concerns, the data from the sheriff's department, we can present that to Public Works and say, what type of traffic calming measures can they be implemented? Because we say, well, I want speed bumps. The law might say, no, you can't have speed bumps on a main thoroughfare, or maybe we put stop signs in. But that's where that's the information that we're trying to get from basically Public Works.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, one last thing, because you were talking about the striping. They did that on 11th Avenue about 3 or 4 months ago.
How to word it.
Nothing. Nothing. They brought the lines in a little bit closer, doesn't do a thing. They're just
These could
fine.
have probably increased. And that was,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was gonna mention that.
Well, now you got
Right.
racetrack.
Yeah, as I mentioned, stripe, a lot of times when you stripe roads, and you'll see this on the busier roads, they're striped. And usually the traffic volumes are a little higher. That's why on neighborhood residential roads, there's no striping. And usually people are going a little slower, at least you want to, because they have to negotiate, trying to get by each other. Versus they just don't have a dedicated lane that they can speed in with striping. So that's one of the things you have to watch for with striping.
I was wondering what kind of measures are available. We have heard about striping, we heard about speed bumps, we heard about measurements of fast driving. What other measures are there? I've lived in Dallas Fort Worth, and when you drive to the airport, you get to the toll booth there. The road has certain like cattle, like if you have a cattle.
Yes.
Gap, which makes you bump a little bit.
Rumble strips.
Yes.
Yeah. On 119 and go, using 70 miles an hour, you fly off the strip of the road. So it's not a speed bump because you can drive over it fast, but it rattles your car crazy. So are these things available to this neighborhood, to the county to implement? What other measures are available to be implemented, which I think it's much more effective to prevent the speeding than to have a citation. Hey, you drove too fast. Yes, you did overtake. Way to get money for it, but you still drove too fast.
Right.
So I would rather have something which prevents them to drive fast, and I don't have to have a citation.
Measurable results.
Yep, that's our goal too. I completely agree with what you're saying.
But what other options would exist? I would like to know.
Or typically for like neighborhood roads, kind of the biggest thing is the speed bumps that we're looking at. Other thing is like raised crosswalks, they're, again, that's kind of like a speed bump.
Is it possible to put speed bumps along 119th and 36th?
Speed bumps again are designed for 25 miles per hour or 20 miles per hour. So a lot of times you won't see speed bumps on kind of more of the major roads.
35.
Or
35 the whole way.
Yeah, 35, so.
There's a part of 36th Avenue that's 30 miles per hour speed limit.
So on those types of roads, we probably wouldn't use speed bumps.
Traffic stations and schools.
Probably the next best thing is the speed feedback signs that we have. See what else would there be?
Stop. What about breaking? I'm just throwing 119th out there. What about breaking that up into at least two sections where you drive halfway, then you have to come to a complete stop with the use of a traffic light before you start back up again with a crosswalk?
Traffic light's about $500,000.
Yeah, traffic
Okay.
signals, now you're talking about a lot of money.
Okay, that's what we need to know.
They're pretty spendy.
But that's the issue to me. I've only lived here 10 years. I know others have lived here longer, but in the 10 years that I've lived about 4 blocks from here, I'll say 100,000 more people have moved in. I mean, there are, and I haven't seen the traffic patterns change. I haven't seen a stoplight put in. I have not seen another crosswalk put in. And I feel like that we're just adding. And who's asking the repercussions before a whole new subdivision comes in about what that's going to do to the amount of traffic and both the volume of traffic and how that intersects with 119, how that intersects with 36. Because that whole McCann area, that's huge. And I can see why people were, yeah.
Yeah, 131st,
Yeah.
all the new buildings.
Yeah.
All of our new developments and everything. Yeah, all the new developments that come into the county, they go through community development. And they have a whole, again, another team that looks at these developments. And also the impacts to the surrounding area that development they may cause. So depending on how big the development is, it may trigger a traffic study that the developer will have to hire a traffic engineer to go do this traffic study and determine the impacts around the development. So those are some of the things that they should be looking at and should be taken care of as part of the development. So, but yes.
Yeah, we lived on the corner of 21st, 119th, my backyard faces.
And
Where that one, we live on the corner of 21st and 119th. And our backyard faces that vacant lot. That's over there. The red barn was a farm. It's now urban red barn. Foley Park, the Foley Farm. We've got a little bit of the, that was established as county park, with historic pear trees. Now we've got 30 homes, $3.5 billion homes. There's the stop sign on 21st, no stop on 119th. And I can look out my back upstairs and I can watch the cars turn and the crashes that have occurred there. And they crashed down our fence, whole things had to be replaced. I don't understand why they have never made that, if they can't put a signal light in, why they, and that would slow the traffic because of coming up to school, why they don't put a four-way stop in there. Down on 99th and 21st, we lived on the corner of 18th and 194th Street. And my sister-in-law lived across, I had to go across 99th on 21st. That used to just be a two-way stop and everybody just came through there. They put a signal light. I used to have to sit there forever to try to get across that street to finally put it in. I don't really understand why that hasn't been a source of, because I mean, they're always there. Sheriffs have had really bad accidents there. Why anything hasn't ever come up about, hey, how about we make that a four-way stop?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure the history there.
It's bad history.
But that's what it sounds like. So the crashes is, of course, one of the things we definitely look at to install a traffic signal. It has so many crashes in the year type thing to install a traffic signal. But the other thing we look at is volumes. So, you kind of look at volumes to how much, is there come with the side roads versus the main road. And before you start getting into the traffic signal and things, you want to kind of those be balanced a little bit. I mean, they don't have to be completely balanced, but you want to be close.
The four-way stop would even work because I'll tell you, when the middle school gets out, you should see the lineup and going to school. You should see the lineup of cars on 21st trying to make a left-hand turn to take their kids to school. I mean, they're just sitting there and the city bus comes down there and makes a left and then it stops right back of our fence there. There's a drainage thing there. And they stop there. So it's really bad. I mean, people can't get across.
We'll look at that. I know it's not the engineering team, they look at so many intersections throughout the county for traffic signals every year. So that could be one of them.
Even if it was a four-way stop, it would slow people
Right,
down.
I'll ask them.
Well, there's much of a concern there is on 119th and not discounting the other areas. Really, one traffic calming project could resolve 80% of the entire thing.
I think, especially if they put another stop sign in 119th there, maybe that four-way, they can't do the signal. People have to stop. They're not gonna blow through it like one of the ones that we were talking about.
16th, yeah.
They're gonna have to stop. And then if they also put in a four-way pedestrian walkway, because kids are riding their bikes, they're going over the urban red barn, they live there.
Even just a push button, activate crosswalk, something like that.
I like one thing on campus, because you hit it and that the lights, it's a flashing light saying someone's crossing right into it. It's that distance to kind of say
Well,
that.
somebody in our neighborhood put up little round things there and they've got orange flags. I don't know who did it.
Across the street, yeah.
Yeah. People have been
I've
using
seen those in the jurisdictions, yeah.
Because people,
Can't do
because
that?
that park became a dog park in with the pandemic. It wasn't, nobody even knew about that park.
Yeah.
And now it's like everybody drives there and everybody walks there and they walk their dogs. And that street is crossed a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
It's
the county
just-
did that voice.
I just can't believe that they haven't. Anyway, thank you.
We'll look at it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Steve's gonna solve all our problems.
Yeah.
I do want to make sure you have enough time to finish your presentation.
That, I'm done. That's all.
Here.
I didn't have it.
Okay. Thank you very much. So kind of to recap on what Steve was saying, so a couple of things in the coming weeks, we will coming month or so, we will make sure to send out the survey report that the Traffic and Road Safety Subcommittee is compiling. May also be able to send the email list, the Public Works website with that link to reported concerns. That's an additional way for us to help the county understand where our concerns are at, and then our team will of course continue to work on this issue and raise our combined concerns for awareness and hopefully getting a resolution in the coming years here. Some of the things that I wanted to address is kind of getting into what our new business will be for 2025. So we are looking at probably a mid to late January general meeting. So we're going to enjoy the holidays and we'll kind of come back and check in with everybody. We are hoping to plan a community event for October. So if anybody knows local Felida businesses or vendors that might want to donate their time or have a booth that would have maybe little items, whether it's food or trinkets at a discounted price, please let us know so we can contact them and try to get them involved so we can start to create this event. So probably be a Halloween or harvest theme. But it'd be really nice to bring a community event to the Felida neighborhood.
Added on to that, we also want to try to incorporate something for the animals. And so the costumes, if it was something during that period of time, they could dress up their dogs, cats, and utilize the park and walk around, and even maybe have one of the local high schools, maybe here, the student staff can even vote, give out a prize, or some type of
Judges.
recognition.
And yeah, we'll do some kind of little prize or something that we can compile. But if anybody does have a friend or a family or just a business they love that you think you'd like to promote, let us know so we can reach out to them and make them a part of this community event. Another thing that we'd like to do is we have Michelle here. She is a community member that's interested in joining the board and helping us out. She would be running for secretary position, so that would take some work off of my end. That would mean that we would be doing an election at our first meeting of 2025. So that, of course, will be formally sent out in a newsletter with plenty of notice for that. So kind of with that, what we are thinking is making an amendment to the bylaws. And again, this will be in more detail in that newsletter, so everyone in the community does have notice. Currently, we have it in our bylaws that every 2 years on an even year, we will have host a mandatory election. So that whether that's us rerunning or new community members running for that position to take over. What we are thinking is one, to help with preventing vacancies so that the neighborhood association can last as long as possible, is that we would kind of split it. So we would continue to have every 2 years on an even year, have an election for the president and vice president. And then every 2 years on the odd years, starting in 2025, would be an election for the secretary and treasurer positions. That would allow Michelle or whoever gets voted in 2025 to have a 2 year period versus getting cut short at a 1 year mark when we do the 2026 election.
It also gives the outgoing staff and new incoming to be mentored by the ones that have already been there for a little while.
And so in the newsletter that you'll see in about a month or sooner will be Michelle's bio, so introducing her to everybody, the detail of what the amendment to the bylaws will be, and at the first meeting will be an election, in addition to any other notes that we'll be presenting to you all. And then as a reminder, our email is open. If you have any concerns, questions, or even just community things, or something that you want to see or promote, let us know. It's easily possible that we can bring it up in a general meeting or send it out to the email list on your path.
Just give us a couple days to respond. There's a lot coming in. And, you know, this.
We're volunteers.
We're volunteers, yes. We'll get to it. Trust me.
You start paying us, we might work harder.
You know, pay us with being squeaky. You know, we have a lot of concerns, and it sounds like when it comes to public works, the louder we are, the more people that get together,
Right.
the more likely we are to have solutions.
And now you have a face and a person, you know, to complain to.
Right, that is all we have for our agenda today. Is there any other questions, as far as new business? Yes. Yes, so the county, Mary can explain it too, but the county allots us a certain number of like newsletters or postcards so that we can notify, it goes to the residents, it'll go to the households. So that we can notify you of events. Our board is planning that at the beginning of the year, we'll go ahead and do a newsletter. So that way we can kind of plan the year out for you all. So we'll try and get as many dates set as early as possible and throw that into a newsletter with some additional details. So it'll be a little longer for you all. And then send out postcards and smaller ones. I think they were yellow last time. That'll have a reminder, that one there. That'll have the agenda, who's going to be speaking at that meeting, trying to give you a little idea of what's going to happen, the date, time, location. Does that answer your question?
Granted that we'd only have 3 of those little postcards that we can go out. I think we were discussing here, and we'll throw it out there as well, is maybe put like January and February's dates on them, and then the next meeting spread it out. So getting a little reminder helps increase attendance.
Right. We were also trying to use our resources to the best that we can while also making sure you all stay as informed as possible.
So how do we get one?
You are, if you're a resident, you're already on the county list to get that mailer. So anything that's mailed to you, you should already be on that list. It should automatically end up in your mailbox. As far as things that are outside of mailers, it's really important that we have you on our email list to get those in between notifications.
Basically, this person tells me she didn't get it.
I don't think I can. I know I can.
So I want us to do with the boundary. If there's maybe people are still not getting it.
She's definitely.
So, I don't know if she can hear me without the. The mailing list comes, I pull the addresses from the GIS system from the county, so it comes from the boundary of the GIS system, and then I pull the addresses from that. And so, sometimes if you are not getting your mail at your address, but you're getting it at a PO box or at a mailbox system, sometimes there's a glitch in the system and it doesn't give me that address. Are you?
Well, I'll make sure that whoever needs my address has it. It could have been me that I just didn't pay attention.
So another thing we can do is I would encourage you to make sure you are on our email list. We do not spam you. I promise that it's not going to just be a bunch of junk mail. We do filter it, but we do send additional reminders to the email list about a week before the general meeting is coming up. So that's another way. It is felida.community.na@gmail.com.
And send her your name and address, and she'll forward it to me, and I'll make sure that you're on the mailing list.
Yeah.
And forward her information to me, and I'll make sure that she's on there.
Okay. Yes. We do not yet, but we are talking about it. And since we are in our infancy, it might take some time to do that as we build our team. But I do hope one day to get a social media presence.
But are you volunteering?
No.
We usually.
We do have a slight presence, like we were talking about earlier on next door.
Yes.
You are next door, but the thing is, it's really hard because it's mostly, I think, West Felida. So I'm not really even getting the next door stuff unless I go like, you know, they're nearby. And then they have like,
I would like a Facebook
A
because I think
radio
it's
rep,
the easiest to cater.
Are
It'd be
people-
new and you'd be able to cater to our group.
Are people on Nextdoor? Are you guys all on Nextdoor?
Probably different areas. I mean, and the way the neighborhoods are split though on next door, how they're set up by that person. is-
But if they're on Nextdoor, I can send out a invitation to this meeting on Nextdoor to the area. And so if that will get to people, I'll do that.
That's great if you have access to send to a particular.
I have
Nextdoor
access to send it
neighborhoods,
to particular
because
areas, so I'll do that. I'll start
cover-
doing that
cover
if that,
I think
requires
that's
about.
Okay.
six
I will make a note to do that.
neighborhoods. Our area.
yes.
If you go Facebook, please do not abandon the other bandits.
No, we will absolutely, no, I'm glad you said that. Anything additional that we bring on would be a way to reach people. We would not take away something, because so far what we have is working for people. So we just want to reach more people. So anything would be an addition to what we get. And of course, we'll always have, our main source will always be the email list and the mailers.
and word of mouth, guys. Tell your
Yes.
neighbors.
One more thing about the boundaries, again, is that when we are first initiating the boundaries, there are other neighborhoods.
There are many neighborhood associations within Clark County. When we were initiating this one here, there's unincorporated Hazeldale in there, and it has its own little boundaries. But there's a lot of people that were saying, well, I'm part of Hazeldale, not Felida. Felida is just a little suburb around in all of Clark County. But the neighborhood association, a lot of people didn't understand, is that it overlaps the unincorporated area of Hazeldale, Felida, and a lot of the other things, Salmon Creek area. So we want to make sure that when we're talking to people and they're saying, well, I'm in Hazeldale, that they understand, yes, you are, but you're also part of a larger community, the Felida neighborhood.
7,660 homes. Ish. You know, ish.
Yes, correct. And that's why we're having this type of forum. So those suggestions can be brought out and that we can vote on it. Most definitely. Now, there's kind of like an expense issue with that because right now, you'll be getting notified about a new signage change. There's not very many throughout the neighborhood, but right now it'll say, welcome to the Felida neighborhood. But right now, that's not real what we're called. We're called the Felida Community Neighborhood Association. So that new signage will be coming out this following year. And then you're gonna even have an opportunity to vote on it. So it's gonna go out through your mailing. So if we decide to change it again, then those signs would have to be changed as well. But we want to be all inclusive. We want to make sure that the name represents everybody within the community. So I agree with that. And if we can come up collectively with a different name and everybody agrees with it, then it'll happen.
Something that it is really not Felida only, or Hazel only. It's something which includes, even if it's a completely fake name, but it's something which is not automatically, or Felida, no, not, or whatever.
Correct. All right. Any other new topics, concerns? Yes.
My whole career, I was a project manager in Silicon Valley.
Right.
Area on 119, right by I-5. Where all the graffiti has been, and where they painted over, then they don't even use the same color gray every time they paint it over. I actually have an artistic background, so my thought was, it needs to be a mural, not a big bright red mural, but it needs to, I'll just skip to what I decided it should be. Base salmon on a gray background, going up, and then down under the bridge, it should have a little area of little tiny fish that little kids are gonna paint. And so I applied for a permit to do this. And then Felida hit, and I never could get a hold of the guy that said, yes, you got a permit. And I've not been able to get a hold of him since. Additionally, I'm getting old, so I really can't do this project. I'm 83, I can't do it. So if anybody is interested in this, I can tell you what my ideas are, and I will certainly help.
That is an amazing idea. I think it's brilliant. And I would love if you have the energy if you would want to be some part of that as a temporary subcommittee to help us make that happen.
Even attend our next board meeting.
Yeah, even if you could attend our next board meeting so we could talk more about it, at least get whatever resources you did have.
So we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, I'd love to make that happen, even if it takes a couple years to make it happen, yes.
Everybody I mentioned it to loves it. I think we
Yeah.
elevate the area.
Could we include this in this approval event for kids go there and paint the fishes?
I think I'd like to make it an event of its own. Yeah, I think I'd like to make it an event. But yeah, the following summer, that's maybe something we could plan on doing.
It's going to involve the police to
Absolutely.
lock up half of the street.
Yeah.
Involve Boy Scouts and high school kids and maybe even kids from college that are artistic. Actually, it's going to be stencils if it's, that's what I'm thinking. So
But we can have students
we
create
have
the
this
stencils and then have
I don't
them
know
there.
what insurance we could need. We'll need a lot of paint. We'll need designs.
Is this a wall that's part of the freeway system?
It's the wall that was built to accommodate the tree.
Okay.
But
And
the
WashDOT
guy that
has to be involved in too.
the county, I guess, was they're responsible for keeping it painted. And it looks like.
The county or was the state? WashDOT.
It's so nice, and it's right by the Salmon Creek. It's right by Salmon Creek and the park and Pine Line and.
Pine Line.
It's where we go.
I know, right, what she's talking about. It's WashDOT.
Oh,
It'd be a great project,
Yeah.
but it's multi-jurisdictional,
Yeah.
which makes it complicated. But it's not impossible. It's not impossible, but it's complicated.
So thank you, everybody, for coming. Oh, we want to mention the signs.
You'll be getting information.
You'll be getting information soon about 2 of the signs that it's about 12 of them, but it's been narrowed down to the last 2. And this is the new signage that's going to be going out through all the different neighborhoods, but with the appropriate name. So ours will be currently Felida Community Neighborhood Association. You can see where it says, welcome to the neighborhood. This is like choice 1. The next slide would show the same verbiage, but placed at the bottom. But still the same graphics.
It would still be placed the same way, but where it says the neighborhood name, it would be in that font.
So this one right here, this font is lowercase, this one here is all in uppercase. And so you'll have a choice to decide, what do you prefer? I mean, I have my own preference, I kind of like it lowercase rather than everything bold. This, to some people, would indicate that it's yelling at you if everything's in uppercase. This would be just like a street sign, yes, saying, welcome to the neighborhood.
So it'll be to help mark the boundaries and show people that they're in a community neighborhood.
These will replace the big diamond signs that have a ribbon on the top and the bottom that currently say Felida on them, that are really old and dated. And this will be the new branding for the neighborhood signs that will modernize them. So they'll be colorful and more modern.
All right.
If we didn't do that, could we get a new stop sign?
Or a stop sign.
I
At a pedestrian crossing.
I think we can continue to work.
We can still work on the stop sign too.
Absolutely.
It's, we reached the time, so if there's no new business, and even if there is, it can be brought up later on at our board meeting, which is going to be on
I will send an official announcement to the email list.
somewhere.
So motion to adjourn? Adjourn?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn? Second? All right.
Great.
Have a good evening, everybody.